All right, let's go ahead and start. So this is our third webinar, and today we're going to be talking about the instructional methods for teaching new behaviors and skills. More about the functional behavior assessment and the behavior intervention plan and how those two fit together. So first we're going to talk about aggressive behavior, and then the elements of the functional behavior assessment, the elements of the behavior intervention plan. We're going to look at antecedent interventions, how to teach new skills, and reinforcement strategies. So first, let's check in. How's everybody doing? Is everybody, if you are having any problems with defining or target behavior or collecting data, if anybody has any questions?
This is Julie. I don't know if it's a question or just, and I just submitted mine, so if it needs to be changed, you can let me know. But I didn't find that the ABC form worked very well for a sensory behavior. Is that?
For a sensory behavior.
Because it seemed like for a sensory behavior, you also wanted to know when maybe the trigger was happening, but they weren't doing the sensory behavior, because that was important to know, but then it didn't mean that like all of the consequences were related to the item.
Right. So sensory behaviors are tricky, right? Because the antecedent actually is internal. Or sometimes it is internal. And the consequence itself is going to be reinforced internally. So you're right, they are tricky. I also I don't really like the form that the module asks you to use. So perhaps try, and for this assignment, you don't, obviously you don't have to, that's just too much work, but look at different forms online, because there's much better forms.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking, and I looked at a few, but like I used the assignment ones for this, so I just wanted to, I guess, state my kind of, not confusion, but like, this doesn't seem like quite the right form.
Yeah, and you're right. Okay. Sensory, the forms are challenging. And that form, I just don't think that it's very user friendly. And also sensory, but that's one of the indications that it is a sensory function when you're not getting that solid ABC data and the behavior is taking place when no one else is present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Does anybody have, sure. Does anybody have anything else?
Jenna, it's Myra. I have a question. For assignment 3, you had at the very bottom the summary, and in the rubrics it just says summary. Do you have any like expectations on that?
Yes. So we'll go over that in a minute.
Okay.
And I think I emailed everyone. I'm emailing right to your D2L. And so if you're not checking that, I know a lot of people, or just came to my attention that a lot of people aren't having that sent directly to a different email address, that they'd have to actually log in to get it. But I did send the expectations in an email.
Oh, I did read my D2L, but I didn't see anything other than a summary.
Okay, so we'll go over that in a minute.
Thanks.
I know. Yeah, sure. So also Adam said in the chat that he wishes he had more access to kids. I wish that too. I think it's really important that you have that natural setting, and it's just not meant to be. And I know you've got kind of a tricky situation and you're doing something else. And so that kind of makes it much worse, right? But I guarantee you, you will have plenty of chances to take data on your students, because you are going to be just bombarded with behaviors as soon as you have your own caseload. So the thing to know during this summer is just how to what elements are part of a functional behavior assessment and how you keep data, and then where to go to get that kind of support. So hopefully you leave here with at least that. Does anybody have any other questions or thoughts?
Hi, Jenna. This is Hannah.
Sure.
Should I wait to start working on my BPI until I get your feedback on my FBA?
Yes.
Okay.
And so here is the tricky part. The last time I taught this class, my thought was I needed to make sure that everyone got their feedback back, and so I had them turn in the functional behavior assessment was the second assignment. And what ended up happening is no one had enough time to collect data. And so then everything was screwed up. So what I'm saying now is if you, I do want to make sure that everyone has their functional behavior assessment is done correctly before they move on to the behavior intervention plan, but I'm not requiring it. Please know that there's just a little over a week between the two due dates, though. And if you give it to me early, I've had one person already turn theirs in. And if you've already turned it in, it was great. And there's another person I haven't quite had the chance to review it because it was just turned in. And I had another person just turn in what she had for feedback. And so go ahead and send it to me, and I'm giving them back within 24 hours.
So I did submit
together.
So I did submit mine into D2L a couple of days ago, but I haven't gotten anything back.
Did I grade it? I can't remember.
I didn't see a grade or anything on it. I submitted it on Saturday.
Okay, so Hannah, you might be the person that turned it in. If I were you, I would look at feedback within the rubric because I have a feeling I graded yours.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Jenna, this is Myra again. I also turned it in on Sunday and I haven't received feedback.
Okay, so thanks for letting me know. So if you turned it in, go ahead and let me know. I know that there were two people that turned stuff in on Friday or Saturday, and I went and reviewed it. And so
Jenna, this is Sandy. I turned mine in Saturday as well.
Okay, so when we're finished here, I will check and see who I've. If I've reviewed yours, you have feedback, and if I haven't, I will give you feedback tomorrow morning.
Okay. Yeah.
And so if you don't have any corrections, I'm going to grade it, and if you do, I will send it immediately with feedback. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. Send it to me, and then email me that you sent it, and so that I can check D2L, and then I'll give you the feedback. If you don't have any corrections, I think you're lovely. I will go ahead and grade it for you. And if you want to do changes, you can. And if I feel like, wow, there's something really missing here, I'm just going to go ahead and email you back. You have a week to turn it in. Sounds good? Everyone okay with that?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so first let's talk about aggressive behavior, because I know this assignment, it was not very detailed. The video was kind of and aggressive behavior is something that we have to deal with. And so I want to make sure we go over it and we talk about what that means to you as a provider that often pulls kids and sees them on a one-to-one basis. And so the important thing to know about aggressive behavior is that you have to know the student, right? So I would suggest what I've always done, and it has worked for me in the past, is to never pull a student without knowing them. And so give yourself a little leeway. And even if it says an IEP, this kid, you will see them in the library or wherever, give yourself some time to get to know that kid and create a relationship prior to pulling them out. No child is going to feel comfortable leaving with someone they don't know. And it also gives you time to build a relationship, get to know them, see what kind of things, what kind of reinforcers might work for them. So that's their interests, things they enjoy doing. And then it also gives you a chance to know what kind of behaviors they're exhibiting, right? So you got to know your student. It gives you the ability to see in what ways you can redirect them. The next thing you need to know is the plan. And when I reviewed your assignments, there was only one person that said the most important thing. It was the first assignment on what do you need to know about your student. There was only one person who said you have to know the plan, and that's so important. As soon as you get your caseload, figure out who is on a behavior intervention plan and how do I implement this. One, that's for your own protection. You need to know if something goes awry, what should I do? And two, it's really important to the child that all of their teachers and service providers are on the same page, and you're not doing something different than another. So this kid doesn't have to learn 7 different behavior interventions. They're just focusing on learning one. So know the plan and how to implement it. You need to have your own plan too. So for instance, if you have if you're pulling this kid out for orientation and mobility, you don't want to be on the corner of a major intersection when this kid starts throwing themselves on the concrete and threatening to run into the street, right? You need to have your own plan. Okay, if something happens, I know their plan, and I also have reinforcers in my pocket ready to go. As you know, I see him start to struggle, I can offer these things as a deterrent at redirect. So you also have to know their plan, your plan. Aggressive behavior, also know yourself. A lot of times we make it worse, right? If a kid is struggling, we're often embarrassed by their behavior. Like, oh, I don't know this child well enough, or this kid doesn't like me, or I'm a bad teacher, all the things that go running through your head, right? This happens with parents too. You're at Target and the kid starts flipping out and you're extremely embarrassed, right? You need to be able to control your own feelings so that you can help that child regulate their behavior. If they're very aggressive, you need to make sure that you stay safe, right? A lot of times when we are in distress, we want to engage them, and you cannot engage a child that is aggressive or anyone who's aggressive, right? Then you'll be essentially fighting with them. Do you see how the picture I have is the child's grabbing his face and he's grabbing back, and it's become physical. It's a physical interaction now. Again, you're going to attempt to redirect and identify reinforcers and change your own behavior. So when I say identify your reinforcers on this slide, it means identify who's reinforcing the challenging aggressive behavior. And it's almost always the person that the child's interacting with. So it's you. So you need to know in what way, what your behavior did to trigger them, because you are also an antecedent. Your behavior it is a trigger for their interacting with you. So you have to change your own behavior too. Okay, does anybody have any questions about aggressive behavior? Here's something that I do in different situations. So if I have a student that's acting aggressive, and I am in my Braille office, or I'm in a hallway and I'm trying to work with a student and I feel like they're safe,